remember and understand that autism is a social and emotional learning challenge, then that can help us understand that the more that we are supporting a child to be socially engaged and to have the emotional learning, that is going to be the best approach to be able to support an autistic child. Okay, so what I do is social and emotional therapy. It encourages engagement with the child through social interactions. And we are working on building those healthy relationships with their caregivers or any kind of therapist or educators that are working with the child. In social emotional therapy, we work to promote the child's critical thinking skills, their social problem solving abilities, and for them to be able to have this continuous back and forth type of interaction. And that can be done either verbally or non-verbally. The ultimate goal of these type of interactions is to help the child become self-aware, to be self-aware of their emotions, their feelings, and how the way that they interact will support a relationship with somebody that they love. We also support a child to understand their feelings and express their emotions productively so they can understand also the emotions of others and how that plays a role in those social interactions. So, I want to explain to you the different types of interactions that you can have with a child with autism. So, there's going to be something that we call child-led and something that we call adult-led. And many of you right now might be more familiar with an adult-led type of interaction. In an adult-led interaction, the therapist or the educator or the parent, they maybe will set a specific goal for the child and they direct each session and attempt to meet those goals. So the adult is doing a lot of the interaction. They are leading the interaction. It's more compliance based. So other modalities like applied behavior analysis, this is more of an adult-led interaction because they are getting the child to complete a task and the child is having to comply with that task. Many times in adult-led interaction, there is a pre-planned type of activity that is focused on a specific skill, and they are also focusing on modifying certain behaviors. So that is an adult-led interaction. What I do is a child-led interaction. So this is where we follow the child's interest, their emotions, their cues, and that is what guides the session. And this will foster a sense of control for the child, their autonomy, where they feel like they are able to self-express themselves in a way that is understanding to the adult that is interacting with them. Child-led interactions are playful in nature. So it's done through play where we are maybe moving our bodies and moving around and maybe playing a game of chase. This is what you mostly will see in a child-led interaction versus sometimes in adult-led interactions, they are usually at a table where the child is sitting and having to complete a task. In a child-led interaction, the relationships they build the autonomy for the child, for them to feel like they are responsible and they are in charge of their learning and their development. And the learning is very organic, it happens naturally, so you're able to facilitate more of that natural communication with the child. We also focus on empowering the child to use the critical thinking skills and the problem solving skills and this back and forth type of interaction that we are wanting to have with a child. So in an adult-led interaction, the teacher or the therapist or the parent is more of the facilitator of the session. And in a child-led interaction, the adult is more of a moderator. So we are just there to join the child in what they are interested in and what they are doing. So I'm going to show you some examples. This is an example of an adult-led interaction. So I want you to notice here what the adult is doing and how the child is responding.
Yellow. Put in yellow. Good job. Put in yellow. Pick up yellow. Up yellow. Pick up yellow. Put in yellow. Be careful. Put in yellow. Pick up yellow. Put in yellow. Put in yellow. Put in yellow. Put in yellow. Yellow. Pick up yellow. Put in yellow. Drop. Put in yellow.
Okay, I do want to make sure before I move on, were y'all able to hear that video? If somebody could kindly unmute and let me know if they were able
Okay,
to.
so actually, the video is visible here, but I think it's not playing. So
You're not, you couldn't hear
uh,
the sound. Okay, let
the
me,
sound
let
is
me,
the
I'm
sound is
sorry,
audible as well.
what'd you say?
The sound is audible, but I think the video is paused. So can you try playing again and let's
Okay,
see.
yes, let me try that again.
Pick up yellow. Put in yellow. Good job. Put in yellow.
Okay.
Pick up yellow.
Is that better?
Yellow. Pick up yellow. Put in
So
yellow.
it's okay now.
Pick up yellow. Put in yellow. Put in yellow. Put in yellow. Put in yellow. Yellow. Pick up yellow. Put in yellow. Good job. Put in yellow.
Okay, I hope that was better this time. So in the video, you can see that the adult is giving a lot of directions to the child. She's trying to work with the child on colors, I'm assuming, where she's getting him to try to pick up that piece and put it into the box. And she keeps saying, pick up yellow, pick up yellow. And if you notice the child, you can see on his face, he's closing his eyes. He's starting to chew on his little chewy toy, and you can tell that he's not very engaged with her. He's not actively interacting with her. He seems to me, honestly, like he might be a little stressed from the interaction. She's not taking into consideration the processing time that is needed for him to respond to her direction. So this is what an adult-led interaction looks like. The adult is making the child do some type of task. The adult has a goal or a skill that they want the child to work on, and she is forcing the child to comply with what her directions are. So this is, like I said, very common in behavioral type interventions such as ABA. So let me show you what a child-centered or a child-led type of interaction look like, and you can see the difference in how the children are interacting and engaging. This video that I'm going to show you is from a child that I work with here in my clinic. And we are working on some social problem solving and solving a problem. And so this is how I would do that in a child-led type of interaction.
What should we do? Oh, you want that one? Okay. Got it. Okay. Okay, thank you. Where should I put it? Where do you want to put it? You want to put it right here? Okay. Ooh. It's, I'm not tall enough. Oh, okay. Oh, should we get the stool? Okay, here we go. I want to stand. Oh, can I have some help? Can you help me? Oh, thank you, Darcy. Okay. Got it.
Okay, great. So in this video, you can see that when the child walked in to the therapy session, he really wanted a specific swing that was not hung up. So he pointed to the swing, and I acknowledged that he wanted to get in that swing. And I pretended like I couldn't reach it. I wasn't tall enough to be able to hang the swing up. And he had to solve that problem. And the way he solved it was he was going to get a stool for me to stand on. So this is a really great opportunity for the child to work on natural problem solving without me having to direct any kind of interaction. I never told the child to get the stool, or I never told the child that he couldn't have that swing. It was all of his ideas. So he was organically interested in that interaction with me because he really wanted that swing. So I was able to challenge him a little bit by saying, I can't reach it. I need help. Can you help me? And he helped me. I even offered another little challenge where I said, well, I need your help getting on the stool. And he came back and gave me his hand to help me up the stool. So this is that back and forth type of interaction that I'm talking about, where we are having this conversation back and forth. And this child is non-speaking, so he doesn't use any words. But you can see, even though he is non-speaking, he's understanding everything I'm saying to him. And we are successfully having this interaction together where he's able to use his thinking skills, and he's becoming self-aware of what he wants and how he can use other people to get what he wants. So the reason why child-led intervention is so important is because of the motivation behind it. When a child is intrinsically motivated, they are doing something in order to get what they want out of the experience. So it's something that is driven from inside of them, not something that is external. Okay, so if a child is wanting to hang up the swing, that is the driver and that is the motivator. And so it's intrinsic, it's something that's coming from inside of them. Versus if it's extrinsic, it's something external. So a lot of times in these behavior models, you will see children who are getting, maybe they're getting a cookie or some type of toy or some type of reward from being able to complete the task. That is an external factor. Also, children will, maybe they will sit quietly because they want to avoid being scolded. That is something that's extrinsic. So we are really wanting the child to have that natural type of interaction and the natural drive to want to do something because it's meaningful for them. So this is why we always say that a child-led intervention has more motivation for the child because they are motivated intrinsically from the inside, being able to have that interaction with them. So they will choose to play with you, not necessarily the toy, because they are so motivated by the fun and the interaction that you are having with them. So why does child-centered therapy really matter? And a child-centered intervention, it honors the unique way each autistic child learns, grows, and connects. And it builds that trust and that emotional safety that is really the foundation for meaningful development. So if we think about any child that develops, they are driven by the relationship they have with their caregivers, and that connection that they have with them is what really is building their emotional intelligence, their critical thinking skills, and preparing them for academic learning. So it's no different for an autistic child. Even though they might have challenges with social interactions, it's best to really support that connection and support their development through the trusted and bonded relationships that they have with their caregivers. Adult-centered interventions, they often focus on controlling a child's behavior, and they set these rigid goals, and they really are expecting compliance from the child without considering the child's individual interest or their emotional needs. So in child-centered intervention, or these child-led interventions, we are looking at the child's strengths, and we're using that to build upon the areas where they continue to need growth and they need support and development. When we are just focused on a child doing a task that we want, or maybe if we are just focused on the child's behavior, then it does cause them to become a little more rigid, where they are not as flexible with the way that they're thinking and being able to work through problems. There's not that flexibility there. So the more that we respond to an autistic child in a very structured and a very rigid way, the child is going to learn to be rigid, and they're going to learn to need that structure, which can almost cause them some discomfort and some stress. So the more that there is flexibility built within these interactions with these children, then they are learning the flexibility of life and the flexibility of our emotions and our feelings. And so it is more natural to be able to support a child organically through a relationship where they feel emotionally safe. And the reason why child-centered intervention is so important is because of neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change and adapt and reorganize itself throughout life. The brain can make new connections, new neural connections throughout our lifespan. But children, their brains are extremely neuroplastic, meaning that their brains make new connections very quickly. And since we are working with children, we need to be focusing on supporting their brain development, because we know that autism is a brain difference. So the more that we are supporting a child to get them to think critically or get them to solve problems on their own, it's making these new connections in their brain, which ultimately supports their brain development. There is a lot of new research in the last 10 years about the brain and how the brain can make these new neural connections. So if we are just focused on getting a child to memorize, or getting them to repeat certain tasks, the brain will make connections. However, there's not fluidity in that. And so that's why we want it to be child-led, and we want the child to guide the interaction, because their brain is able to make more neural connections and more neural pathways that is going to be supporting their flexible thinking and their ability to use these thinking skills that are so needed and important to prepare a child for academic learning. So that's why I say it's so important for us to not be rigid, because the more rigidity that we have, then the child's brain is going to go towards rigidity also. There is also a lot of current research that talks about stress and the brain, and how if children are in a very stressful environment, maybe they are in a compliance-based therapy like ABA, then their stress center of the brain is getting activated, and that part of the brain is developing more and more and more, instead of the part of the brain that's focused on critical thinking skills and communication and learning. So we really want to make sure that the environment that the child is in is very child-centered, and it's not forcing the child to do something, because with that stress, then you're only developing a part of the brain that we really don't want an autistic child's stress centers to be developed anymore. We don't want anybody's stress centers to be developed anymore. So it's best to be working on these natural type of interactions that are fun for the child, that can support their engagement and their natural communication without forcing them to do a certain task. So, how do you follow a child's lead? How do you do that? To follow a child's lead, there are really three steps that you have to do. And the first one is you want to observe their interest and their actions very carefully. You're really watching, what are they doing with their body? What are they interested in? What are they gravitating towards? And then once you realize and you observe and you understand what the child is interested in, then you really want to respond to the child and join them in that play or in that activity. And after you begin to join them and respond to what they're doing, that is where the connection is built. And when you are connecting to what the child is already engaged in, and it's going to make the interaction more rich, and they're going to be able to start learning there instead of just you directing them to what you want them to do. So, first, you have to observe. Second, you have to respond. And third, you have to connect. And when you have mastered how to follow a child's lead, you really are doing this simultaneously. So throughout my sessions, I'm constantly observing a child and connecting with them and responding to them. It all just kind of blends together, and it becomes a very beautiful art of connecting and playing with a child. Okay, so I am going to show
Okay, now.
a video of me working with a child, and I'm following his lead. Now, in this video, I'm also talking out loud to the audience so you can get some ideas of what I'm doing. And I'm doing all steps where I'm observing the child, I'm responding to the child, and I'm connecting with the child in this short video. This child is non-speaking. I've been working with him for about 2.5 years, maybe. Um, and he's very comfortable with me. He also has an older sister that is autistic as well that I've worked with. So I've known the family for many, many years. And I do have a really great relationship with this child. And so this is how our sessions typically go on a weekly basis.
Okay, now crash. I'm not really sure if he has an idea right now, so I'm just gonna kind of join him and let him know that I'm present, I'm here with him, and I'm ready to have fun. Oh, you're gonna climb up? Oh, I know what you want. Okay. I'm noticing that he keeps jumping with his body.
He's wanting to climb on things. So this is my cue that he needs some movement. He needs some input. Okay. You got your pillows? You got your pillows? You got your pillows? Oh, you see over there anything good? Okay. Hi. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I have an established relationship with him. He trusts me. I'm going to pick him up because I know this is really what he needs. Okay. Are you ready? Crash. Boom. Crash. Okay. He's smiling. I know he's interested in it. Okay. You're going to jump up again. Okay. Climbing, climbing. I'm coming with you. So he's going back to the same spot. For him, this is him communicating to me. Do it again. Okay, here I come. Ready? Gotcha. Okay. Are you ready? 1, 2. Now, look at me. He wanted me to jump too. Okay. So now we're connecting. I'm joining in on what he wants. And we're able to have fun. Oh, okay. Yes. Climbing, climbing. Come in with, oh, he's smiling. That tells me he likes it. Okay, here I come. I'm gonna get you, Asher. Okay, now he's turning his body a little bit, which kind of gives me a cue that maybe he wants me to, oh, you're scared. Well, look at this. Okay, ready, set, and go. Oh, you want me to go with you? Okay. So he held onto my arm, which kind of told me that maybe he was a little scared, frightened. So I jumped with him. Okay. He's still interested. Okay. You're going back up. Oh. Climbing?
Yes, it is.
You need help? You got it. Oh, I'm coming too. He's watching me. Yes. Okay. Oh, you want me to pick you up? Here we go. I got you. Ready? Okay. Yes. Ready, set, and go. Woo! Now for me. Yay! Okay. Oh, hi. Hi. You're climbing up? Okay. Here we go. I'm coming too. Like, dum, 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 dum. You want me to pick you up? Okay, here I come. I'm gonna pick you up. Okay, he's laying down again. Oh, I got you. You want to go by yourself? Or should we go together?
People
Ready?
can't see. They say can't see.
Set.
Hello,
Yeah,
Ashley.
that's so.
I think the
I
video,
jumped with him that time.
the visuals are not showing in the video. I think it's only the sound that is available. So don't worry. When you're done, I will try and gather the video and then we'll play it as we take questions. All right? Would that be okay with you?
Okay. Yeah, that would be okay. And I also have this video is I think it's a long video, like 10-minute video. So I would like to be able to share it with all the audience where they can also
That's
watch it
fine.
on their, because there is a lot more information that I share in other parts of the video. So I will put that link into the chat so then everybody can have access to that.
Fantastic. Right.
Okay.
That's good. Sure.
Okay, let
So
me
you,
read.
you can continue, yeah.
Okay, so the idea with this video, like I said,
Okay,
you guys will
now,
get the full video, but I want you to be
okay,
able
now,
to understand that following a child's lead is something that we are really doing in a child-centered approach. So if you are trying to teach an academic skill, sometimes child-led therapy can be a little bit more challenging. But if you're a speech therapist or an occupational therapist, or maybe you're a parent, you can definitely incorporate the child-led type of interaction into your play with the child, because the goal for this session with this child is really that social and emotional learning. I'm wanting the child to have more engagement with me, to be interested in me socially, and to have that back and forth type of interaction. So even though the child is not saying anything verbally, he still is communicating with me. He's communicating with me through his body language, through his eye contact, and even the eye gazes that he's giving me, which is letting me know that he wants me to pick him up or to throw him or whatever the interaction may be. That's why it's so important for us as adults who are working with autistic children to be attuned to the child and to be observing them, so we know exactly what they are communicating to us, because many times they don't have the verbal communication quite yet. So this interaction of having this back and forth non-verbally is really preparing the child to be able to have that verbal language. They're building the conversation with us even though there's no words involved. So I would love to take some questions now and see if anybody has any input or any kind of specific questions that they would like to ask me.
All right, thank you very much. Ashley, we appreciate your wonderful work. So, our audience and participants, if you have any question, kindly show your hand and I'll just unmute you. Then you can ask your question. However, with regards to the videos that you weren't able to play, what I will do is that I will share the link to you so that you can have access to the video and watch them. But then also, as we take the questions and answers, I will try to also replay some of the video so that you can have access to them. So I'll try replaying the video here whilst we take some questions and answers as well. So if you have any question, kindly let me see your hand up and then I will guess unmute you. Then you can ask your questions. Okay, so Mrs. Mary Frimpong, you can unmute yourself and ask your questions.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you very much. We are really learning a lot. I wanted to ask this question. Sometimes you may like to help a child with autistic condition, but sometimes trying to follow their lead can be stressful and can lessen your motivation to help them. So with this, what do you do? Because sometimes it's difficult to continue with whatever you want to do with them so that they'll feel connected. But at a point, they don't even give you that chance. So what do you do in this moment? Thank you.
Thank you for this question. It's a very good question because it can be stressful when you have an idea of what you want to work with the child on and they aren't listening or they aren't complying with your direction. And so that can cause you to have some stress. And so it's very important to be aware of your stress and be aware of your own feelings and your own emotions about the interaction. But to truly follow a child's lead and to truly connect with them, the best thing that you can do is maybe put your task or your activity aside and just focus on what the child is interested in. Because when you focus on what they're interested in, then it can become very fun and very playful. And that will help relieve your stress and it will help relieve the child's stress. So, if with teachers, I recommend, if you can do this, if you can connect with the child first before you're wanting to sit with them at the table and do some type of academics, that can be very helpful because you are having that connection and having that fun before you're wanting them to do something at the table, like an activity or some kind of academic style of learning. But remember that child-led therapy is about following the child's ideas. So we really will have to put our ideas aside to be able to support the child. And that doesn't mean that we're not challenging the child through play. We definitely can challenge that child. So if you remember with the child that wanted the swing and he wanted me to hang the swing up, it was a challenge that I couldn't get the swing up. I could have easily stood up on my tiptoes and got the swing on there, but I acted like I couldn't. So that was the challenge, is we find ways to challenge the child through these interactions that are their ideas and something that they are interested in.
All right, thank you very much, Ashley. So we have iPhone DOC. Please, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, thank you so much, Ashley. So my question is, I have recently started working. I'm an SLP, by the way, and I started working with a child, and his family, they demanded floor time and hand method, and I have never worked like that before. Like I have only done ABA. So my question is how can I use how can I take him through floor time and hand method to intentional speech? Because he does talk, but I do not know yet how to kind of incorporate speech into play. I try to follow his lead. I'm trying to kind of bond with him right now, but I'm still not sure how to do speech outside of ABA. And my second question is it possible to start working just through floor time and all to just bond and have a good relationship with him and then kind of use natural ABA later on to kind of set goals for speech?
Okay, well, let me ask you this. What are some speech goals? Give me 2 goals that you have for this child. Can you unmute yourself and tell me 2 goals that you have, speech goals that you have for the child? Is it, using positional words, having more vocabulary? What are the goals that you have? Oh, she can't unmute herself. Can somebody unmute her so she can answer the question?
Thank you. I'm so sorry for that.
I was like,
Okay, so the problem is he has been seeing other therapists before me, and I still don't know. I'm kind of in the dark. His mom says that they want more intentional speech, like they want him to go back and forth in a conversation. And as someone, as I just said, I've only worked through ABA, I don't know how to do it because I try to kind of chase him around. I kind of try to initiate some stuff with him, but he is not communicating at all. So I think the goal, at least for the parents and his other therapists, because I just kind of started with working with him last week, is for him to do more back and forth kind of. For now, he usually would only like use one word to communicate. Like, I don't know, let's say he wants to eat something, he would say cookie. Or for example, like he would sometimes use a like a 4-word sentence. That's it. But that's like very rare. So maybe what they want is for him to kind of like be able to answer you and then ask you questions, which I think that's kind of really hard, at least right now. I think for me, maybe longer sentences, I would say.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so this can definitely be done in a child-led interaction. This is what I do all day long. So once you get the child interested in you, and the way to get a child interested in you, especially a child that's busy and that wants to run around, is through fun and through play. So if you get the child laughing and smiling through movement, then the child is going to be really connected to you, and they're going to want to interact with you versus any kind of small toy or anything like that. So I would definitely recommend focusing on movement with the child, not necessarily having small toys or any kind of small games that the child can get a little self-involved in, because you're wanting them to be conversational and have that engagement with you. So you really need to be the favorite toy that the child really wants to gravitate towards. But, like for me, what I do with kids like this is I get them on a swing, and I might start swinging them really, really fast, and they're laughing, they're having a lot of fun because I'm giving them a lot of input for what they like. And then I stop the swing, and then I start to ask them a question. Ooh, do you want me to spin you, or do you want me to shake you? And so I'm giving the child two choices, and then I'm wanting them to repeat what they want. Do they want me to spin them, or do they want me to shake them? And sometimes they might just repeat the last thing I said, and that's okay, because it's all about the interaction. Oh, okay, shake, shake, shake. And if you can tell that they don't like the shaking, oh, you want me to spin you, spin. And then you start spinning them super fast, and your energy is really high, and you're getting really, really excited, and they really like that interaction. Another thing that you can do is you can do some kind of anticipation to a play. So let's say I have the swing and I'm holding the swing, and I say, okay, on your mark, get set, and I hold out the and for a long time, and then I pause, and then the child says, go. Okay, go. And then you push the child. So they are starting to kind of have that conversation. They're starting to kind of understand that this engagement and this communication is happening through this fun and this play that we're doing. So with ABA type style of speech therapy, it's more about getting the child to repeat certain things or point to certain items. And it's just not as fun, and it's just not as organic, because through play like this, you can work on all kinds of stuff. Let's say you have a little tunnel that you're playing with, and you're going in and out of the tunnel. I'm going to go in the tunnel. Okay, now I'm coming out of the tunnel. Oh, you're going to go in the tunnel. Oh, I'm coming in the tunnel after you. And so you're working on those in and out words. So you can really incorporate any type of speech goal that you have through play, because it's organic, and how it's happening. If you're working on positional words, or oh, you're going to get under the blanket, I'm going to get on top of the blanket, things like this. Okay, so anything that is anticipatory, that's going to facilitate the child to be saying more things, or if you're giving them a choice. With choices, I always like to do with something fun, like if we're on a swing, or if, let's say, I'm jumping with a child onto a crash pad, I might say, okay, do you want me to jump fast, or do you want me to jump slow? And, or you can even do that on the swing. Do you want me to push you fast, or do you want me to push you slow? And if the child repeats slow immediately, oh, slow. I'm pushing you slow. And sometimes they might repeat fast. Oh, fast. But if they don't and they look bored, I didn't want it slow. You wanted it fast. Fast push, fast push. And so then you're using more of that verbal language and kind of giving them that. And that will kind of really support that ability to be conversational. But it's a big difference between ABA and a child-led type of interaction. And so I think at least for me, because I started off as a speech therapist using an ABA type method, I really had to wrap my mind around what I was doing, and I really had to unlearn some of the things that I was taught to kind of relearn a different way to support a child. But if the parents want the child to be more conversational, this type of interaction is really going to support the child, where you're not just acknowledging the verbal communication, you're acknowledging the nonverbal communication that the child has. You're really working on those proto conversations. That's going to support their ability to be more conversational. So you don't just have to focus on verbal communication, and you can explain that to the parent that the more that we are working on more of this back and forth type of interaction that is non-verbally, it's supporting the child foundationally to understand the importance of conversation and how conversation comes about. Because right now the child might be using some words to get what they want, but it's not necessarily sharing an idea. But them saying they want to go faster or slower or spin or shake, that's sharing an idea. And that's very meaningful to the child. So when you are incorporating movement, it's going to be better to support their regulation. So that's what I would recommend. If you have any other questions about this, please raise your hand because I'd like to make sure that you understand.
Okay, I think we have another question. So, Madam Linda Essel.
Okay, good evening.
Good
Hi.
evening.
Oh, okay, Ms. Ashley, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. Yeah, please, I would like to make a suggestion. It's not a question. Because of internet connection, yesterday I wasn't able to join, and today I've struggled, so I moved out of my location to a new location. By the grace of God, I've been able to join. So I'm asking if please you can take recording sessions so that after that you can send to rest in case anyone misses or network connection drops the person out so that you can catch up and you don't lose some of the presentation. Thank you very
All
much.
right, Madam Linda. Yes, we'll do absolutely that. So after the webinar, we will share all the videos with you, the recorded videos with you, and also the slides and every other information we had towards the webinar with you, so that you can have access to them and watch at the comfort of your home. Thank you very much. So, Madam Eunice, you can unmute yourself and ask the question. Madam Eunice.
Thank you. Please, I may ask, do Down syndrome children have autism? I'm asking this because I teach a child. When I get to her, I need to, if I go there and she's singing, I have to sing with her for some time. Whatever she does, I have to try to connect with her. That I follow her, and then later I connect and then we start our lesson.
I've worked with several children that are autistic and have Down syndrome. So Down syndrome is a cognitive challenge and it's a chromosomal challenge. So they definitely have these physical features. So it's easier to diagnose and understand that a child might have Down syndrome versus autism. There's not these physical type of attributes that you're seeing in a child. But if you notice that the child is engaging in these repetitive type behaviors where they are maybe doing some stimming and they may be struggling with social interactions, then that might be a cue to you that they might have autism as well. So it doesn't mean that they can just have Down syndrome or they can just have autism. They can have both.
Okay, they can have both. So, Patricia Ama, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Patricia.
Okay.
So my question is, I have an autistic student that doesn't like food at all. No matter what you do, you have to maybe force her before she eats. So someone like that, how do you go about it? Please, that's my question.
So what did you say about the food? She doesn't like to eat any food?
No, you have to force her. She doesn't like to. So I was trying to help her to feed herself. There are some times she'll do it herself, and then there are certain times, no matter what you do, she's not going to eat, which is very stressful sometimes.
Is there anything particular food-wise that she does enjoy eating?
I have no idea, but the mom keeps giving her just rice and then oatmeal as breakfast. And I've been advising her to change her food for her. But it seems it's either oatmeal or rice water, like every day. So I don't know whether she's tired of she's tired of eating the same food all the time, or she just doesn't like it.
It's really important to not force a child to eat food, because there could be other things going on. There's other conditions there that are more psychological with eating and with food, and so that could be something that's going on. But eating is an emotional experience, and so what I always recommend to parent is make sure that you are sitting with the child and you're talking to them about the food and you're engaging them in eating together. So you're eating at the same time that they're eating, and you're making it more of a social experience because eating is social and it's emotional. You know, some people really, really enjoy eating, and that's very important to remember. So if we're just trying to get the child and forcing them to eat more food, it's really going to only cause more emotional challenges with the child. So you could recommend to the mom, if the child does like rice, then maybe change up the rice a little bit and offer a different type of rice to see if the child would eat a different type of rice. Or let's say the child likes green grapes, then try to give them red grapes. You know, try something that's a little bit different, but they're very similar, and that can support the child. But what I do when I'm working with children on feeding is I sit with them, I eat with them, I say, "Ooh, yummy, yummy, yummy. This snack is so yummy." I might use a lot of language with that. If they are doing anything like maybe starting to play with the food, then I allow them to play with the food and we kind of play together, where we are trying to have more of these communication patterns back and forth around food. And that will really support their ability to be able to expand on the amount of foods that they're having. But if we force a child to eat, then it can cause some other problems.
All right. Thank you very much. Oluwasan, you can ask your question, Oluwasan.
Good evening.
Good
So my
evening.
question is, how do you help a child who relapse? Maybe the child has made progress and suddenly you notice a relapse, like the things the child used to do before, the child can no longer do it, or the child is not doing it as much as he used to. What can be done? Thank you.
Okay. Ashley? Ashley, can you hear me?
Thank you. I got muted.
Sure. All right.
I see this a lot with children who are developing new skills. Sometimes they will regress in an area where they just developed a new skill. So if it's something that is just starting to happen, you don't have to worry too much, because as a child builds on a new skill in their brain, sometimes they will regress in one area. And it's usually only for a season before you see the child start to develop that skill back. But you can also just make sure that you are targeting that area and you're incorporating that into their daily routine, that skill that they have already developed. I also see it a lot in toilet training where a child may be they were successful with toilet training and then they kind of have some regression in that area. So you just need to be consistent and keep working on that and just know that that is common and it does happen. And you shouldn't worry if it's only been a short amount of time.
Okay. Right. So, Quality Isaac, you can ask a question. Quality Isaac, you can ask a question. Okay. So I think we can have Quality. Then let's take Amening Kwateng. Amening Kwateng. You can unmute yourself and
Say,
ask the question.
hello.
Okay,
Hello.
sure. Thank
Yeah,
you.
please, good evening.
Yeah,
Good
sure.
evening to everybody.
Good evening. We can hear you,
Please,
Quality.
I want to know if there is a particular temperament associated with learners with autism. If they have a particular temperament that we can learn as educators. Yes, please.
Okay, yes, I understand. There is not a particular temperament for each child with autism. Each child with autism is extremely different and unique in their individuality. So it's very important for us to understand their individual profiles, what makes that child. So you will not find one quality that is the same in all of the children in regards to their temperament.
All right, madam. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anna Amening Kwateng, you can ask your question.
Yeah, hello.
Hello,
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, good. I have a child which I'm attending to right now, and he's autistic. He has a problem with his motor skills. But the only thing he knows how to do is play with these Legos and what's it called, jigsaw puzzles to enable him manipulate them to be able to get like his fingers and his hands going. But the moment you give it to him, he will sit down and then all of a sudden he'll start throwing a tantrum. He'll just put himself on the floor and be throwing his legs and slapping you. Sometimes you only be there, all you see is he'll start slapping you, throw his food around and all that. And I'm a bit worried because I think he can end up hurting himself by doing that because he's not that old. He's about 10 years. So I wanted to know how to, go about it for him to stop the tantrum throwing and all that.
Thank you. This is a good question. A lot of times when a child has this planning, you will see the type of behaviors come about, and it's because they are very comfortable with these certain activities or these certain toys. And when they don't have access to that, they don't really know how to plan out any new type of activity or interaction. So it can cause them to have a lot of stress. So the best thing that you can do is really get the child engaged with you and get the child engaging with you around a movement. So maybe y'all are chasing each other, or maybe you're have some kind of game of you're putting a ball inside a container. Y'all are doing that together and it's really, really fun. The child is going to be building new motor skills that way, and that will help their stress. But this child also sounds like they're having a lot of challenges with their emotional regulation and learning how to understand their feelings and how to process their feelings. So that would be an area that you would want to address as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's like when you give him a task or an activity and you're doing it with him, and it reaches a point and you want to change the activity to another one, he gets bored easily. But when you try changing it to another activity, that's where he starts throwing the tantrum.
Right. It's because he doesn't know what to do. It's so hard for his brain to communicate to his body what to do that it causes him to stress and get really stressed because his body's
Okay.
not in the way that he wants it to. So it doesn't mean that his brain doesn't know how to do the activity. His brain probably knows. He probably understands the idea. It's just his body's not cooperating.
Okay.
And that can be very stressful. So the more that you're doing this motor movements and having fun and playing with the child, where they are having to move their body in new ways, but that it's their idea, it's going to support him. So you want to make sure you're playing games with the child that's their idea, not your idea, because
Okay.
it's more challenging for them. So in the video that I know many of you didn't get to see, this child has a lot of motor planning challenges as well. And sometimes what I will do just to create new motor movements with the child is I will pick him up and I kind of act like I'm dropping him a little bit. So he has to move his leg into my arms and I have to grab his leg. And so that will kind of support his ability to have these motor movements with his body that he's doing naturally and organically. And that's really going to be able to help that motor planning.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
All right. So, Esmat, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Esmat. Esmat, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Esmat, we can hear you.
Good evening. I appreciate the webinar a lot. God bless you. Please, I want to know, how do you handle a child with autism whose parents are religious? Like, they see the condition to be more spiritual, so they are gearing towards spirituality instead of trying to tackle it with the normal routine that you are used to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Esmat.
David, can you tell me what she said? Because I couldn't hear her.
Okay, so she want to find out if how do you handle parents who are difficult to accept the child, the condition that their children are autistic, but rather they prefer working from the spiritual angle, where children will be sent to the churches and other spiritual places to work on autism instead of accepting the reality and then working on it. How do you approach such a parent, and what are some of the things you need to put in place to help such a parent to be able to understand that it is not spiritual, but rather it requires certain expertise and also professional touch?
And this can be very challenging, but a lot of parents have feelings and they have their own emotions and feelings about their child and what is going on with them. So it's very important to make time to ask parents more questions about their feelings and their experiences around their child's challenges. And there are very, the spiritual aspect can get involved. You can get that. It's a big piece, and especially in the culture. And so I think it's very important to not try to convince a parent that it's not spiritual. I think the more that you can get the parent to reflect and to think about the autism and what it really is going to be the best way to support that parent. So what I would do is I would sit down with the parent and ask them some questions. Tell me more about how you feel about your child's challenges, and let the parent talk about that and express what they're feeling. And if they say, oh, well, I think my child has autism because it's a curse, well, tell me more about that. Why do you think it's a curse? And you get them talking, and then you ask them, well, what about we know now about the brain, and the brain is different. What do you think about that? And so you're just having this back and forth conversation with the parent where you're not necessarily convincing them that it's not spiritual. You're just having space where you can have that back and forth, where you're getting the parent to reflect. And then if they're making their own decision on understanding that autism is a social and emotional learning challenge, then that is going to be more beneficial than just you arguing or trying to convince the parent that it's not spiritual.
All right. Thank you very much, Ashley. Justina, you can unmute yourself and ask a question. Justina?
Hello. Yes, I'm
Hello,
here.
Justina.
Yeah,
Sure.
good evening, everyone. I must
Good
say
evening.
I'm very grateful to be part of the participants for this conference. I've really enjoyed, even though I didn't start with you. There is this autistic learner in my class. At the beginning of the last term, he wasn't talking. So through the use of audiovisual and other activities, I was able to build his vocabulary. He was speaking a little word by word. Now, what I've noticed is when we are working, there's a time that he shows that as for today, I am not going to learn. I am not ready for learning. But when you leave him, you realize he runs to the area where the play materials are. He will enjoy playing. But the moment he sees me with a book or a pencil or crayons, then he gives me a frown because he knows we are coming to learn. But when that behavior occurs, let's say today, if he behaves like that today, tomorrow he will not repeat that. So I want to know at that moment, what can I do to change that narrative? Because in his mind, it's like, when I work to this level and I'm tired, there is nothing that can convince me to do more. And the rest of the day, you see him playing. So at that moment, I don't know whether I should leave him to continue with the play till school ends, or I should change that narration.
Yeah, I think that you kind of have to challenge him a little bit and build his endurance. And he might not have the endurance like the other children in the class to be able to do academics for that long. And there's nothing wrong with that. So the more that you can kind of make it playful and fun, and the academic more playful and fun, it sounds like he really enjoys play. And so if you can incorporate some silliness into the activity, or maybe some giggles, that might entice him to want to do academics a little bit more. But I would acknowledge when he makes the face showing his disappointment. Oh, you're disappointed. You don't want to do learning right now. Like, you're acknowledging to him, I know what you're communicating to me. I understand what you're feeling. Oh, I know. Sometimes learning is not as fun as playing. And you're acknowledging that, okay, we're going to just work for a little bit and then we can play again. So you're just showing him that you understand, and that he's what he's communicating, you understand, and so you're acknowledging that to him, and that can be very powerful for a child. So I would try that.
All right. Thank you very much. So we have a user Forati. Yeah, user Forati, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hey, I just asked you, I'm sorry. I just wanted to know if you actually do any training, because I want to like learn more about like floor therapy. Do you do any training for therapists?
Yes,
All right.
I do professional mentoring. So I'll put my email in the chat, and you can send me an email.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
All right. Thank you very much. You can also visit Bloom Development Center on the website. There are a lot of courses available for you. If you're a teacher, if you're a parent, and if you are a practitioner, you're going to have a lot of courses there that you can also sign up to and then learn it satisfied. I mean, yeah. So you can also do what to sign up to. So Patricia, you can ask a question. Sure.
Okay, thank you very much. My other question is, I have one girl who is autistic in my class, and then the issue is she doesn't like to visit the washroom at all. So she's always in diaper, and she's about 5 years old. The moment you take her closer to the washroom, then she'll be shouting, she'll be crying. And then I'm thinking that she's old enough to be potty trained, but she's not willing to do that. So with someone like that, how do I go about it?
It sounds like there might be some sensory going on with the child. Sometimes children who have some sensitivities to their skin, that tactile sensitivity, you can see where they don't like going to the bathroom because removing their clothes, it can be painful and they don't enjoy that. So that could be a part of it. Or also there can be maybe where the child is feeling forced to do that, and so it's causing them to be stressed. So what I would recommend is, and there's so much that goes into potty training, because if the child doesn't have that sensation, we have a sensation when we need to go to the restroom. We have a sensation when we're hungry or when we're thirsty. It's a part of our sensory system. It's called interoception. And sometimes with children with autism, that sensory system is not developed. So they aren't able to make that connection that they need to go to the bathroom, even though they're age appropriate. So you can start incorporate some fun activities in the bathroom where maybe you're washing your hands and it's really fun and joyful, or you are letting them flush the toilet or whatever that may be to just make it fun.
All right. Thank you very much, Ashley. Just make it fun, wherever that may be. Lam, if you have, I believe, Patricia, I believe your question is answered, right?
Yes, please.
That's fine. All right, sure. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, Lam. Okay, let's take Jemima. Jemima, kindly unmute yourself, Jemima, if you can hear me. Jemima, okay. So, let's take Lam. Lam, kindly unmute yourself, if possible. Lam. Okay. All right. So, Lam, can you hear me? You can unmute yourself. Okay. Sorry for that. And Jemima. Okay. So let me read some questions for you. Actually, I think I have some questions in the WhatsApp chat for you as well. WhatsApp private chat for you as well. So it says, come in, excuse me. Let me just open that up quickly and okay. Okay, so one is saying that what are the effective strategies to support speech development in autistic individuals? And then how can I tailor my communication approach to meet the needs of an autistic individual? Yeah. Should I take it again, Ashley? All right. Sorry. Yeah, Ashley.
Thank you. Yes.
Should I take it again?
Yes, ask it again.
Okay, it says that what are the effective strategies for supporting speech development in an autistic individual, and how can I tailor my communication approach to meet the needs of autistic individuals?
It's really important with autism and speech to understand that the way that an autistic child develops language and communication is quite different than a typical child. So a lot of times children with autism will start to develop scripts, or maybe they might repeat words, or you might hear them saying things that they heard on the television or from a video that they saw. And so this is a specific type of language development called Gestalt language development. So to be able to support those speech patterns, it's really best to be providing more scripts for the child and getting them to respond through these questions that you're asking them, like when I was talking about saying fast and slow or spin or swing. So you really have to understand the child's communication patterns to understand what is the best way to support them. But instead of getting a child to you're forcing them to repeat a word, you really want to be focusing on that natural type of communication, because a lot of times with children with autism, there is a lot of severity with the motor planning, and speech is a motor movement. So it can be very challenging for them. So it's best to use a lot of language, use a lot of energy and excitement when how you're communicating to the child to get them interested in you, and that will support their ability to be able to understand that language is fun and that I can use it to get what I want. And always focusing on that back and forth type of conversational interaction is very important, even if it's nonverbally.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. And then I think one question as well says that I have a lot of visual supports, but don't know how to use them to help in communication.
Say that one more time.
He said, I have a lot of visual supports, but don't know how to use them in communication.
Right. That's the challenge with visual supports is it's hard to become conversational when you have all these pictures that you're trying to get the child to point to. I don't use pictures in my intervention, so I don't really recommend that. So I wouldn't be able to tell you how to use that in therapy because I don't do that. To me, I'm really focusing on that back and forth type of conversation with the child, even if it's non-verbally, versus just getting them to point to pictures.
Okay, right, thank you very much. So if you have any question, you can send it directly via WhatsApp, or probably maybe you can raise your hand using the icon, and then I will mute you so that you can ask your question. We took into consideration your comment yesterday, so we extended the closing time so that you can have the opportunity to ask a lot of questions. That is why our meeting is exceeding the usual 7 p.m. of closure. So if you have any question, you can ask that, and Ashley Gillespie is here to answer all your questions and also attend to your needs as well. So if you have any questions, you can raise your hand and ask, and we can keep moving. All right, sure. So here, okay, Christiana Chum, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, madam. How are you doing? Hello, can you hear me? Madam Christiana, can you hear me?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to find out. She was talking about they put their heads on the table, they turn their back. How do you create contact with such children?
Can you repeat yourself?
Madam Christiana, we had your network wasn't stable, so can you come again with your question, Madam Christiana?
Yeah. Okay. I was asking, there are some of these kids, if you want to create contact with them, they cover their face, put their heads on the table. So how can you?
Okay, I think her network is not stable wherever she
Do you
is.
now
Yes. Okay.
get the question? In actual fact, my network has been very erratic.
Mm. All right. So,
Can you hear
Madam
me
Peter,
now?
yeah, we can
Is
hear
it
you.
clear?
Yes.
It's clear. We have all the time for you. So,
I
we would
was
humbly plead if you
asking,
can type it in there. All right.
in actual fact, I'm working somewhere and it's impossible to type.
All right. So,
I typed
Madam
earlier,
Peter,
but I don't know whether maybe you touched on the question or yes, I'm not getting because of your network.
okay. So, kindly do that in the chat, and I'll read that out for you. Okay, so that you can have the answer that you want. Yes, please. So that your question will be clearly heard and answered accordingly. All right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, but I think it's okay now. So you can ask the question. If you ask again, then you can just type it. So you can go ahead.
Yeah, my question is during her lecture, she said we should create contact with autistic children. And there are some of these kids, when you are talking to them, they bury their heads in their hands, they put their head on the table, they turn their back, they are not ready to talk to you. So how do you create such contacts?
Okay. I would, if that was me and I was trying to engage a child and they were covering their head and not looking at me, I would lower my voice. Oh, you're nervous. You're nervous. Then maybe I might kind of tickle their back a little bit. You want to get the child to be interested in you. You're not forcing them to be interested in you. You're enticing them to be interested in you. Here in America, we call it flirting, where you're flirting with the other person. So you're kind of flirting with the child a little bit, getting them, maybe tickling them a little bit. Oh, and you're just wanting to get them to kind of share some type of attention with you or engagement with you. So you want to move very slow, not focus so much on telling the child to sit up and look at you. You're just kind of enticing them that you're fun and that you're safe. And that is going to really support the child to be able to put their head up and be interested in you. And then you can focus on teaching them or interacting with them in the way that you're going to.
All right. Thank you very much. Madam Ekiachewa, you can unmute yourself and ask the question. Madam Ekiachewa.
Hi, thank you very much for organizing this webinar. I have got a bit of experience with autistic children only because my friend's son is autistic. Now, when I take it into the school context, we have to provide like a special needs teacher on a one-to-one with an autistic child, because when you have them in a mainstream class, they can be quite disruptive for the entire class. So if you've got a class of, say, 15 children and you've got one autistic child, you need a separate teacher for the autistic child. Now that becomes quite a financially burden on the school. Now, parents are not prepared to, parents who are aware their child is autistic don't necessarily want to pay the extra cost. Is there any support that schools can get to bridge this gap?
You mean like financial support?
Financial support, or even providing like a special needs teacher who might come in twice a week or 3 times in a week.
Yeah, ideally that would be the best thing is if there was someone who was trained, who knew how to support the child, or I've even seen schools that have trained all of the staff. So everybody knows how to be able to support the child. I've also seen schools that put together their own class. Right now I'm working with a school in Trinidad, and that's what they're doing is they put together a class for autistic children, and it's a smaller classroom, and they have a teacher that is working with those children. So I think it depends on each school and what each school is wanting. But I mean, in regards to like financial needs, I'm not really sure, what could be provided for that in your area, but it's definitely something that's needed.
Yeah, because as it is, even trying to get school fees from parents, sometimes it's quite challenging. You probably end up in the second term before you even get part of the fees paid. So if there are any organizations out there that one may be, I mean, not necessarily financial, but even if you have somebody who comes in 3 times a week to support, that takes that burden off a parent and also of the school institution itself, because otherwise what tends to happen is we aren't able to take these autistic children, which breaks my heart because I have got that personal connection already. But you can't do that because you can't meet the needs that is required.
Right. And to be honest, these children need specialized intervention and special
Exactly.
academics. So, inclusion is so important and it's so wonderful, but to me, what's more important is making sure the child has the correct services and the correct support in place to support them foundationally and give them the skills that they need. So ultimately, one day they can sit in a classroom with their peers and they can learn. But if they're not ready yet at 5 years old, then it might not be the appropriate environment for them.
Yeah. You try telling a parent that they're already in denial, and yeah, it's in Ghana, it's quite challenging. It's very, very challenging. I don't know about others, but that's been my personal experience. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Madam Ikriachewa. At this point, if you have any question again, you can raise your hand. I think our time is fast spent. So if you have any question, you can just raise your hand, and I'll just let you know, and you can unmute yourself so you can ask your question. If you have any question. Okay. Sure. George, Grace Payne. Grace Payne. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Please, my question is, what do you do if the child sometimes he's normal, sometimes he's like off track. He's not sitting down, he's hopping, he's everywhere. What do you do?
Usually with children who are busy like this,
what do you do to a child who is yes, like on normal days, he can be off. He will not sit down. He'll be hopping. Like, I don't know whether something strikes him or something. He doesn't sit still.
Yeah, this is very common, this kind of impulse type of behavior where they just get up and start running around. And it has to do with what we call their regulation. So their brain is not.
Then jumping and hopping.
Yeah, so the brain is not calm. The brain is not in this regulated state. So the best way to support regulation when a child is a little hyperactive or impulsive in this way is to interact and play with them. So you're giving them sensory input and you're giving them the emotional feedback that they need. So I would try to incorporate some movement with the child before it's time for them to sit, where maybe they're jumping up and down, or maybe they are wiggling their body in a fun and playful way with you. And that is kind of helping support that regulation. But regulation is a very challenging, it's a very challenging piece. And there's so many different aspects to regulation that we should be looking at and understanding. So yeah, I mean, if you would like to email me some more specifics about the child, I could maybe give you some more details.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Please, can I get the email address to that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, sure. So I will after the training, I'm going to post the resource, Ashley's email address, and every other bit of information you need about Ashley in the chat group on WhatsApp, and also send them directly to all of you so that you can contact Ashley for any further discussion, and also sign up to her course. I mean, the course is very, very important. I have had opportunity to take one of the autism course with Ashley, and in fact, it has been a wonderful and a brilliant course as well. Every teacher, if you're a teacher here, you should be able to sign up on that course as well, and then take it. So you can hit me up, and I'll sign you on the course, or hit me up, and then I'll just hit you to Ashley, and then you can know what to do at it, right? So Rosemary, sure, Ashley, you want to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, I also post a lot of videos on my social media. So if you Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, you can find me on there, and you could probably learn some more through some of my videos.
That's wonderful. All right. Rosemary, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Or your name on TikTok or any of the social media?
Yes, I'll put it in the chat.
Right. Rosemary, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Rosemary, what you say?
Hello?
Yes, Madam
Hello.
Rose, we can hear you. Madam Rose,
Good
we can hear
evening.
you. Good evening.
Okay, we are talking about inclusion.
Hello, Madam Rose. Madam Rose, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, hello.
All right,
Yes,
that's
I'm on
fine. Sure, we
mute.
can hear you, Madam Rose. Sure.
Hello.
Yes, Madam Rose, we can hear you.
Okay, my question is, I have a class. Yes, I have a class with one child being autism, not in my class specifically, but in another class which I'm taking charge of. We've had some bonding though, but it looks as if the classroom curriculum doesn't favor him. So I wanted to ask, since teaching should be inclusion, there should be some inclusion in it. Is it okay for that child to be included with the curriculum set for the class to also take part in it, or there should be a different curriculum set for that child?
Well, this is all going to be individualized for each child, but if the child foundationally is missing some skills, then they might need a different curriculum. Or you could modify the curriculum that you have for the classroom for the other children and change it for them a little bit to better fit their needs. But it's best to really understand what that child needs and provide that, because if the curriculum is too hard, then they're not going to be obtaining any of the new skills that you're wanting them to learn. And so you're kind of just it's kind of wasting your time and the child's time a little bit because they don't have those foundational skills that are needed to be able to access the curriculum.
Okay, yeah, thank you. The reason why I asked this is that this child loves television, like loves to be with pictorial things. And the mom doesn't want him to be too much with the screen. So getting him out of the screen is becoming a challenge. And he likes things with pictures. So it has come to my notice. So in most of his exams, I try to include pictures, try to include puzzles, Scrabble wells, and all those things for him in his exams. And I think that's what is really helping him. But when it comes to the written aspect, to get him sit to write is an issue. So it's a challenge for me, for the mom saying he should be off the screen, which I know it also will also help, but to this child, he's more of pictorial thing. So how to get him out of that screen aspect is becoming a challenge for me.
Does he have the screen at school?
Yeah, there's a screen at school, but not in the classroom, not in his classroom specifically, but in another class. And when he hears the rhymes and songs, he wants to run to that class just to watch it. But the mom too doesn't want him to have access to the screen. So getting him off the screen is becoming a big challenge for me, because when I try to do that, he tries to shout and bring out lots of tantrums, which I have to carry him and then cuddle him and all those things just to take him off the screen. And it's becoming a big challenge for me. How do you help me to cope with that?
Is there any way to take the screen to not have access at all to the screen while he's at school?
Okay, when he's at school, I monitor him though, but I don't know of the house, whether the mom still do, because the mom is very busy. She is a midwife. So she hardly stays home. So I don't know if at home it's still down with the screen or off the screen. But here I try to monitor him not to get to the screen in the other class. But when I try to do that too, we do have fights, like we show tantrum, screaming. I have to carry him out and then go and cuddle him out somewhere and then come back. And it's becoming a big challenge. And yelling and talking, so it's becoming a big challenge for me. So I don't know how to take him off the screen totally so that he won't get access to the screen when in school.
Yeah. Ideally, that would be the best thing, that he didn't have access to the screen at school. But if there's an instance where he does get access to it and he gets upset, then you really want to be able to provide that emotional empathy to him. I know you really want the screen. You really like it. You want to watch that. We can't do that right now. Oh, you're so sad. Okay, so you're just kind of supporting him through his emotions about wanting the screen, and that will help him learn how to be resilient through that feeling and how to work through that. So it's best that you just work through it with him and support him instead of maybe turning your back or not engaging him in when he's having that meltdown. Really just providing the language. I know you really want that. We can't have that right now. And as much as you possibly can to not have the screen, that's what I would do.
Okay.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ashley. I think we have another question from Mark Darling. So in line of the, how do you call it? In line of the curriculum that she spoke about, Ashley and myself, we're working on a particular kind of curriculum. So what we'll do is that I will send the form to the WhatsApp so that you can input your data, all right? So that you can also fill the form and then give us your input. And work together myself with Ashley and then a couple of team, we are working on a curriculum for teaching these learners as well. So I will share the link to the page and also send it to you individually so you can all input what you want to see in the curriculum and what you want to look at with regards to the curriculum, so we can have a holistic curriculum structure when it comes to teaching and supporting these kids in Ghana and Africa and probably beyond Africa. All right. Magdalene, you can unmute yourself and ask the question. Magdalene Quay. Yes.
Yeah, good evening, please.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for this program. I have a question. In fact, I have 3 special needs learners in my class, but some are mild and some are severe. the one that is severe that I want to improve on is, let me say, his condition. I want him to put off his pampers, diapers, because it's 7 years and it's in KG1. So I want to know how I'll let him move away from the diapers. But I'm struggling to do that. I don't know. I don't have any idea. I've done all what I have to do, but it's not working.
How old is the child?
7 years, please.
So yeah, again, sometimes they just don't have the connection developed yet, and it can take a little bit longer. But the more that you are getting the child interested with the toilet and letting them be a part of that experience, it's helping them understand and learn. But you definitely don't want to force the child. Sometimes you can, you can just keep trying and keep with the repetition. And when you notice that the child stays dry for longer amounts of time, then that kind of tells you that the child is more ready and they're starting to understand the sensation. But if the child is not staying dry for a significant amount of time, then they might not just be ready yet.
All right. Madam Mary, you're going to meet yourself and ask your question. Madam Mary.
Okay, please, good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks very much. I have an autistic child in my class, but the problem is the parents don't want to accept it. They said there's nothing wrong with the child. And this child don't stay in the class. He's 6 years, KG1. Can run the whole day. You have to chase after him. And when he gets to the nursery 1 class, he can watch TV the whole day, unless sometimes you sing for him, you carry him. He can just decide to hit anybody and put 2 fingers in the ear and can make unnecessary noise. So what do we do with such a child? Thank you very much.
So you're saying when the child gets upset, they make unnecessary noise?
Yes, please.
Yeah. That's just a part of their emotional regulation. So the more that you're supporting the child through their feelings, oh, you're upset, you're mad about this, you're providing language, you're nurturing them through their feeling, they can learn to be resilient to that feeling. So it's really important to not try to force them to not feel what they're experiencing anymore. You can also bring awareness to what they're doing. Oh, that hurts my ears when you do that. Oh, look at that child. That child's ears hurt because you're screaming. So you're building what we talked about, that self-awareness. That would be the best way to support that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you as well, Mary. We'll take 2 questions, and I think we can draw the curtains here. Yeah. Ashley has done a wonderful job, and she's a wonderful personality that you are blessed to come across. So as I'm saying that you can also look up on her at Bloom's Development Center. Just go to the Google search and then just type Bloom's Development Center. You have a whole lot about Ashley, and then also whatever she does there. And also on her social media handles, you can visit X, Instagram, everywhere, Facebook, she's available there. She does floor time the most. And I've been following her floor time activity and also her speech time activity with the learners, and she's doing very well. The link has been shared in the chat room. So just www.bloomsdevelopmentcenter.com. All right. Just type www.bloomsdevelopmentcenter.com and you can have every course. So those of you who want to be certified floor time and also certified autism practitioners, you can sign on these courses, and actually has a wonderful package for all of you. I mean, these courses are brilliant and very fantastic. And trust me, if you're able to sign on it, you will be able to have a wonderful time with regards to actually Gillespie. So do your possible best to sign up to Bloom's Development Center, and you are not going to miss out. Yes, she has a wonderful package for both parents, both teachers, and everyone involved in the space of child development. So that is www.bloomsdevelopmentcenter.com. All right. And if you have any challenges with regards to connectivity, with regards to sign up or talking to Ashley and everything, just let me know, and then I will just contact her directly for you, or I'll help you get to her directly yourself. All right. So we will take two questions, the last two questions, and then we'll draw the curtains here. If there are no questions as well, let me visit the chat room to see if there are questions in the chat room. If not, I think we have done the most for today. And I want to say thank you very much for joining and staying with us through this time. It is our prayer that the word autism will become a compound name, and that anybody who says autism or who talks about autism or who hears about autism understands what autism comprises and how to support a child who is autistic. That is the goal. We need to support them. And for you to be able to support them, you should understand what autism is and how to deal with autism. So I'm entreating you to follow Ashley on social media platforms, and you're going to learn a lot with regards to caring for children with autism. She does it the most, and she does it the right way. Yes, I've been learning a lot from her, and I want to say that you can also do the same. So do what to contact Ashley on the social media handles, and then also visit www.bloomsdevelopmentcenter. And if you have any question, channel it to me, or anything regarding your connecting with Bloom's Development Center, do what to hit me up, and I will be glad to serve you and serve you well. If you have programs that you want to connect with Bloom Development Center as well, do your possible best to hit me up, and I'll do that with Ashley as well, and then connect with you. On that note, I want to say thank you very much for your time, and God richly bless you. Same time tomorrow, we are meeting with Mina. Yes, we are meeting Mina tomorrow, same time. She is a behavioral therapist, and she's going to talk from the angle of a behavioral therapist. And then on Friday, I'm going to meet you. We're going to talk how teachers and parents can support their autistic children at home. Follow us on social media platform, X, Instagram, Facebook, Hope Up Foundation, and you're going to see during this month, we've made our possible best to share daily tidbits on some of the facts and then the myths with regards to autism spectrum disorder. Someone just mentioned that a parent is finding difficulty accepting the condition and want to deal with it spiritually. Follow us on Hope Up Foundation on Facebook, X, Instagram, in any other platform, TikTok, and you're going to see we've shared daily tidbits, facts, and myths about autism so that you know what is true. That when you hear, you know this is a myth and this is a fact. All right. So on that note, Ashley, do you have anything for our audience?
Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. And if you have any questions, let me know.
All right. Thank you very much. So on that note, I want to say thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for joining us, and hope to see you same time tomorrow. Bye-bye for now. Bye. And the recording will be shared on the page as well. And then if you want a certificate, it will be given at the end of the training. All right. Certificate will be given at the end of the training. It's a digital certificate. So it's 50 Ghana cedis. The details will be shared to you, and you can pay to it, and then you will have your certificate. All right, for the training. So don't worry, certificate is highly assured. I mean, you're going to have a certificate. Sure, it's 50 Ghana cedis. Just you just send it, and then your name will be added, and then you just receive the certificate in a PDF format. All right. Thank you very much for your time, and God richly bless you. See you same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.